Alrighty, can you hear me okay, or should I crank that? Cool, so I really need to remember how to ask her how to pronounce her name. I'm terrible with names. Our grader, it looks like she's doing pretty well on some of these, but if you invited her early and she didn't accept the link, it might not work because it expires after 7 days. So if you go to your GitHub repository, let's see, CIS 298, and you go to collaborators, you can't re-add without removing. So there's like one extra step you have to do. And then as long as you keep using that repository, it will be set. If you make a new repository, you've got to re-add both of us for it. But you go to settings and collaborators. Why is this so slow right now? Is it my computer or is it GitHub? Okay. That's always unfortunate. Unicorn. Contact us as we go to their status page. Issues, pull requests. It says everything else should be operational. That's interesting. We weren't going to issues or pull requests. All right, there we go. It loaded this time. So just a fun thing. You notice this is a completely different website. At one point, some companies hosted their own error pages with their own software on their own website. And if your website goes down because you're having some sort of issue, so does your status page. And someone realized, like, hey, a best practice would be put it somewhere else, like completely separate from your stack, so that if you're having issues, you can still update your status page. So thankfully, we've got that here. You'll notice that for a lot of people. But anyway, go to the collaborators page and just remove them and re-add them, and that should be pretty good. I've got a little email filter I check like every night that's like, have I been invited to a repository? Because I know they expire eventually, and that's bitten me in the past when I try and grade people's stuff, and then they're like, oh, I have to go invite, and like back and forth emails is just obnoxious here. So lots of fun with that. Yes, thank you. But go in and accept that. It should be fine. Like once we get everyone added to all the repositories, we should be pretty good here. Wow. Okay, it's not all that important anyway. High charm. More unicorns. Okay. So should we talk about the project? Yeah, this should be a relatively quick demo. Nothing super interesting for our project income tax calculator. The next one will be slightly more fun here as we go. I'm gonna get, as we do more stuff with Python, we can do more cool things with our projects. That sort of idea with this. So we'll just forget those. All right. Tax calculator. Again, here is our little sample output. Sure, that's fine here. So let me go make a new project in my repository. So for 298, enter 2025. Call this one project 1. My computer's not had its coffee yet this morning either. Now, a couple things that are useful, not necessarily required or anything, and you're not going to lose points if you didn't do it, but having nice names for things is really useful. I know a few of you folks here, I'm not trying to call anybody out, but had sent me some screenshots or whatever. They're like, hey, I was working on this or whatever there happened to be, and you've got numbers all over your code. That's real ugly, right? Because it's really easy to typo something, especially when we're dealing with these ridiculous tax brackets that I don't even know what these numbers are, right? Somebody made these up at some point here. So having to type all these numbers lots of times here is going to be rough, right? Because I don't know about you, I typo things all the time. So being off by like one digit in one of these is going to be really annoying to try and bug fix here. So anytime we're dealing with numbers here, we want to put a name to it, right? And then we've got a constant value we can use that will reference this every time, right? Which is really nice. And then, hey, next year when the numbers change, I only have to change it wherever I named it. I don't have to go, find and replace in my code and find the 7 different times I use that number in my different equations here, right? So it'll work out better for us if we name things here. So again, I'm a little weird with my names, but that's okay, right? Again, you like the style, you don't like the style, it's all right. So I'm going to say, hey, this is the start of 10 bracket at 0. right? The start of the bracket 0 here, and I'm just going to go through all the starts, right? Notice the starts match the ends of the previous ones here. Might even be nice to put these in a list, even, right? Maybe I can make a list of these starts here. So I'd have a, this is bracket start values or something, I don't know, is a list of 0, and then 11,600. And again, we can't use commas inside of digits, but you can use the underscore if you like. Strongly encourage that. It makes numbers so much more readable when we're dealing with big numbers here. Python doesn't care if you do those or not. And then 47. And then 105.25. And this one here. And then the next one. And then the next one. Python just deal with them as numbers. Python will take care of it. Yeah, we don't have to declare what type they are. Python will find it for us. Now, this is good, but now I also need to know like what percentage of the bracket they represent. Like here's the 10%, here's the 12%, 22, 24, 32, 35, 37. Wouldn't it be nice if we had a way to like match those two things together? Like, hey, this one's for 10%, this one's for this percent, this one's for this percent. I'm glad you thought of that. You guys are so good at this. Like, maybe we could use a dictionary, right? Here's a key and an associated value. I love it. Sure, let's do that. So instead of it being a list here then, let's make it a dictionary, right? Again, totally tons of different ways to do this here. But I've never been a fan of parallel lists here. Like, hey, I'm going to have two different lists, and index 0 will mean something from items from both lists. Like, that's just a lot of mental overhead you have to remember that these things are supposed to match, right? And why bother keeping two lists when we can do it all with one in the dictionary? Again, we haven't really got the dictionaries yet. That's okay. So if you weren't using them, there's nothing wrong with that here. But remember, we do item, colon, its associated value. So like 0.1, right, is the 10%, 0.12 for 12%, colon 0.22 for 22%, 0.25 for 25%, right? Oh yeah, 24, 32, 35, and 37. 32, 35, and 37. 0.37. How's that look? 0.35, there we go. Okay, so now we have, here's a key and an associated value. Right. Again, it's still a little bit of extra work here that I have to know that, you know, the key is the bracket number and the associated value is the tax rate. We can work on it. It's okay. Not really the end of the world here. So now we've got some, it's not even really like start value, bracket start values and rate. Sure, why not name your dictionary something nice? Oh, here's the value and the rate. Right? Please, whatever you do, don't leave a comment that says, this one stores the value and the rate. Right? Avoid stupid comments. Right? I'll just make fun of you for it. Okay, so I've got that. Now we need to go get some user input. Right? We're going to ask them to enter their incomes. We're going to ask them to enter their deductions here. Right? So let's do that. So we'll say, okay, here's my, I don't know, total income or gross income, right? If we want to use our technical terms here. Starts off at 0. And then we'll ask them to enter some income. And as long as they want to keep entering here, they can keep on entering. If you want a prompt that says enter a number and then enter yes if you have more or no if you want to stop, that's fine. I don't like to make people have to type a bunch of things, so I like the prompts that are like, hey, enter a number or 0 to stop. Using one of those sentinel values, right? We're just going to loop. As soon as you tell me 0 income, you've got to be done, right? That's not a normal income. You're not going to say, oh, yeah, I earned $0 from this job because I want to pay taxes on my $0, right? So use something here that's an interesting value. So if income equals, I don't know, 0 to start, or this one's a little bit gross here. -1, I don't know, something that's not 0 here, because I'm going to go while income is not 0. We'll get a income is equal to a float of an input here, you know, in case you want to enter your pennies. Sure. So enter an income or 0 to stop. Stop. Here we go. And then we'll take our gross income plus equals the income. If they entered 0, adding 0 to something isn't going to hurt at all. Right? If you use like -1 as a sentinel value, you don't want to add the -1 to this because then you're off by $1, right? So just however you use your values here is fine. And then we're essentially going to do the exact same thing again for deductions. And then I feel bad about it because I'm really just copy pasting my code. And we can do better than copy pasting our code, right? If you have the same code twice, you should feel bad about yourself. It's a pretty good rule of thumb. So we could turn it into a function, right? You don't have to, but we could, right? Why not? So, I don't know, maybe at the top, doesn't matter. So we'll define a little function here for, I don't know, get total here. Now to get the total, we need to be given what is the prompt here, right? Because that's what's going to change. I'm going to say income versus deductions here. So I don't know, we'll say here's the prompt. And then we'll do the same thing, right? So we'll say total is 0, right? This, just put it all here, right? And then, I don't know, this was just total. Here's a, I don't know, value, right? Value, goodness. Total plus the value. And then instead of this input here, we just give it the prompt, right? So now, sure, I can say gross income equals my get total. And my prompt is then enter an income or 0 to stop. You know, maybe we even add, this could be hard-coded in here. I don't know. I'm feeling a little bad about that, right? So maybe we'll take the prompt plus that, plus 0 to stop. Or do it as a formatted string here if you like your formatted string. I love formatted strings here. I don't know if you guys feel so strongly about them here, but any chance I get to use formatted strings make me happy. Because I remember doing it before we had formatted strings, and having to like concatenate all these things was real obnoxious. All right, anyway, so we get our total here, get our value, here's the prompt, gross income. Oh, it doesn't return anything. Look at that, it's so nice to warn me here. By the way, the function you just wrote is stupid. It doesn't return anything. Yeah, should probably return the total when we're done. Return total. Turn with an N, there we go. Great, and then we get total deductions. Right, total deductions equals get total of enter a deduction. Now, I don't know if you guys have actually looked at what any of these deductions are. It wasn't part of the assignment here, but our tax code is ridiculous here. Lots of weird things you get to write off your taxes. One of them that we like is like donating to charities. The idea is like we incentivize people giving to charities because ideally they're doing good things with that money and you're getting a pretty good return on your investment in the community for not paying taxes. But then there's really stupid stuff, like the interest that you pay on your mortgage is tax deductible. So if you have a really expensive house and you pay a lot of interest on your mortgage, you get to not pay taxes on that amount of money. Because of course the federal government wants rich people to buy big houses. Right? The more expensive your house is, the more you're writing off, the less taxes you're paying. The whole system is just ridiculous, but that's what happens when you get to pay people to suggest laws, that sort of stuff. All right, we get that, and then we need to see which total deduction was better. Okay, now, again, we've been doing this a lot, and most of you folks don't really like ternary expressions because they're confusing. I don't like ternary expressions because they're confusing. I hate looking at them because it takes me like 10 seconds to think about what it's actually doing here. So most of you would say, hey, if total deductions is less than, I don't know, what is the standard deduction? I totally forget. Thank you, look at that. You guys, that should not be in your head, but good job. So if my total deductions is less than that, you might say total deductions equals 14,600. Sure. Everybody would write it like this. If you ask ChatGPT to do it, it's going to give you the ternary expression. We'll say, hey, total deductions equals 14,600, question mark, total deduction, or no, is it colon? Colon, question mark? One of these ones here. My goodness, question mark, total deductions, less than 14,600, otherwise total deductions. Some sort of garbage. Yeah, what's our syntax? Something similar.
It's gonna be yes, and then if, and then no.
Equals if total deductions, else. Nobody writes this. This is hot garbage, right? ChatGPT loves this nonsense. I don't know why. The code they trained on really likes ternary expressions because for some reason people think one line is better than 2 lines or 4 lines, and I don't know. That's all. Like, it's pretty obvious, and this is why 8 people failed their final exam in CIS 200 because they gave me this, and I was like, that doesn't look right. And then I went and found their answer online that they just copy pasted off. So if you did, it's okay. It's not the end of the world, but you know, in general, this is fine. And again, I've used a bad thing here. I'd have a magic number, right? That's not very pretty here, and it's very easy to typo these. I mean, this one's probably not so bad here, but put a name to it here, right? So here's the standard deduction. Standard deduction is 14,600. I get standard deduction. Okay, so if you're claiming less than that, the feds say, oh, you get at least this much off your taxes that you don't have to pay taxes on, right? Which is well higher than the start of the 10% bracket, which is kind of nice, right? Or the end of the 10% bracket. So now, there are cases in which you get money back from the feds. We're just pretending that doesn't exist right now because that's a big other headache to have to tackle, and that's beyond the estimator project that we're doing. Please don't use this for your actual taxes, by the way. This is just an exercise. I think everyone recognizes that here.
I just assumed income would be negative.
But once we calculate the adjusted gross income, right, it's possible to be negative here.
That's what I
And then you're not getting money back. Yeah, you're not going to pay negative taxes. Technically, some people do pay negative taxes because we get credits for certain things here, especially children. You get money back for having children, and that is a refundable credit, which means you'll actually get money. Some things are deductible and some things are credits. It's a whole fun thing here, but credits are refundable, deductions are not. That sort of thing. Anyway, so we'll have our adjusted gross income. Using AGI, sure, you probably know what adjusted gross income means for now, but if you come back next week and you look at AGI and you're like scratching your head, what does AGI mean? Just spell it out. Right? Again, just have some good names here. It's not any more work because you should never be typing your variable names anyway. Right? Just type a couple letters and hit tab, let it autocomplete. You didn't save yourself any work by having small variable names. So that's our gross income minus our total deductions. All right. Now we have everything we need to calculate taxes across each of our brackets. Right?
Well, if AGI is 0.
We'll take care of that in a minute. So yeah, you could just bail out, but the way I like to go about it here is just going to handle that for us. So it's only going to charge us money if certain things happen. Now, I need a place to store all of the taxes that we've paid, right? The idea here with the output is we're reminding people, hey, this is what you paid at what bracket here, right? Nobody ever looks at taxes like this, but it's to illustrate our bracketed system here, the progressive tax system here. So I need a place to store 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 numbers here. They're probably going to be zeros, but depending on what people enter, they can enter anything they want here. They might not be. So we're going to have to store those out here. So this will be taxes owed. Then we'll probably just be a list, and I can just throw 7 zeros in here if I want. 0, 0, 0, 0. Could work here, or I could just start adding them as I go. Right, that's an option. Right, lots of different ways to go about it here. So I like maybe just we'll add them as we go here. Okay, so we start off with nothing. Okay, bless you. Now, the way I like to tackle this, because I've got my dictionary here with my values, is I just want to do a loop here. So I want to do the exact same thing every time, just these two numbers will change, right? What is the start of the bracket and what's the rate? What's the start of the bracket, what's the rate? What's the start of the bracket, what's the rate? This sort of thing here, okay? So we need a couple pieces of information as we're looping through here. Right, we can do that. And then one important thing to note, with dictionaries here, it's not a sequence type. I don't know if we talked about that on Tuesday or not here, but just because I put them in this order doesn't mean I get them out in that order when I loop through the keys. There's no sequence guaranteed, there's no order guaranteed. It's an unordered set here. And there's reasons for that. You'll get into that when you start building out your own maps. Like, I think you do that in 350 if you are having so much fun with that here, because it keeps it as a hash table essentially, and there's no order guaranteed in your hash table, that sort of thing. So we have to be careful getting the keys out because they might come in a weird order, right? So we can get all of the bracket starts from our dictionary here. So we'll have our bracket starts can be my dictionary here. So that's my, oh my goodness, I don't even know what I call it here. Bracket start values dot keys dot sorted, or no, dot sort, right? So there's sort and then there's sorted. Sort will modify a list, sorted will return a new list without modifying the other one here. Ever so slight difference here, and it doesn't like that because this is not a list, right? So I have to say I want this as a list, right? So when you get the keys out, it doesn't actually give you a list. It gives you, what does it give us here? A set-like object, providing a view on the dictionary's keys. It's essentially a list, but it's not actually a list. So we have to tell Python, hey, please turn that into a list so that I can use sort on it here. That's all. So I want them in sorted order here, and then I actually want them reversed. So after I sort them, then I want them reverse. Dot sort. No, not dot reverse. Dot sort. Dot. Come on, where's my reverse? Dot reverse. Yeah, it is reverse. Okay, dot sort. Reverse and no, we need to sort first and then reverse. That should work. I don't know why I'm getting that yellow line, but we'll see. We'll see if that works here.
Yeah, so it's code 5 reference.
Yeah. It just might not remember that sort is giving me what I expect it to give me here, because it doesn't, yeah, it says it should be a list. I don't know. We'll see.
It said code 5 reference in none when you scroll onto the
Yeah, yep. Huh. So sort should be the list. Do I have to put one more set of parentheses maybe? No? Do I really have to do it in 2 different steps? I could do sorted list. No? Oh my goodness. Why is it being so cranky here? Got none. All right, we'll do it in 2 steps then. I'm sorry?
You have to import like a dictionary. Remember how you have to import a dictionary from like the one manager?
We're not using anything random, so it should just be off of this here. No, it should be built into lists here. That's weird. Dot. Like it doesn't know it's a list. I'm super confused. I think it'll work. I think it's just being cranky here because it's just a yellow line. We'll see what happens. Anyway, so I get the top. Right? I want the big number first. Right? So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to work off of that number going on down here. So we're going to tax their money at these brackets if they fit at the brackets, starting at the top one here, because I think that makes life easy here. So starting with the top one, we're going to start tracking. Yeah.
What does keys do?
So keys gives you just the keys of the dictionary. So I just want the starting, not the associated values here. So I just get these ones here. Mm-hmm.
Does that refer in a list?
So keys is sort of like a list. It's a set-like object, so it's not officially a list. That's why you have to use list to say, hey, turn this into a list, and then I can sort that list, which should stay a list here. Oh.
It's reverse, then sorted. I love that.
If you reverse it and then sort it, you've lost your sort, haven't you? Or you've lost your reverse.
It's list, reverse, then sorted, then my list. I guess in 2 steps. Yeah.
Yeah, it probably won't work in a second, and we'll find out. But it doesn't make sense to reverse it first to me, because once you sort, I don't know. Do you have a different option for descending? That's all right. We'll see what happens. So I'm going to take my adjusted gross income, and I'm going to have one more value here that I want to use. So I have an income to be taxed here that I'm going to change as we go, because this will make my calculations a little bit easier here. So we're going to start off as your entire adjusted gross income is yet to be taxed here. So then I can check real quick. Hey, so for bracket start in bracket starts, right? Going through each one, going on down. So I'll start at the top, going on down 0. So if my income to be taxed is greater than the bracket start, right? Then you're going to start owing some taxes. Right? So if your income is higher than whatever this value is here, you're going to pay some taxes on it. If you owe taxes on it, well, that amount then is going to be whatever is greater than this bracket. Right? So we're going to take our taxes owed, and we're going to append, and so actually I want to cheese this a little bit. I'm going to insert at 0. Is that okay? Can I do that? Because if we'll just append, and then we can flip it after. So we'll append here. The calculation then is going to be your income to be taxed minus the bracket start times, right? And we got to force some order of our operations here. So figure out everything above the start of the bracket, you're going to pay at that bracket rate. right? So at the 37% bracket, you only pay 37 cents on the dollar for every dollar above this amount. Just because you're in the 37% bracket doesn't mean you pay 37% taxes, right? You'll pay 10% at this rate, you'll pay 12% at this rate, 22%, right? You're not getting taxed 37% on the whole amount, just on every dollar above that here. So take off the start here and then multiply it by, so that's our bracket start value and rate, value associated with the bracket start, right? This is the key. What's the associated value? Well, that's the rate here. That's the 37% or 35% or 32%. Now, this feels like it's slightly more complicated to have to like go look it up in a dictionary and these sorts of things, but I get to avoid hard coding a bunch of stuff here. So I think it's fun, but that's okay. Let's see, is that still a little long here? Goodness. So we'll append that value, right? If your income was not greater than the bracket start, you owe nothing at that bracket, right? If you didn't make more than $609,000, $350, you don't pay anything at 37%. So we'll append taxes owed, append to 0. You paid 0 at that bracket. For the next bracket then, we need one last thing. So if your income was greater than the bracket start, when we're done with this then, your income to be taxed is going to start at the bracket start. You've now paid your taxes on the top whatever X amount here. You only owe taxes in the amount that and below now. Right? So hey, I already taxed you on your money above this, so now you still owe taxes on the money here and below. So then you'll hit the next bracket, and then you'll hit the next bracket, you'll hit the next bracket as we go on down. So eventually, we'll land somewhere in the middle here. So say I was at exactly 500,000, right? This would be false, right? We're not greater than that value here. Sure, fine. Why does it not like append? Unresolved reference append for class list? It has append. I'm so confused. I think Python is just being cranky right now because this append is fine. All right, so if we're at 500,000, nothing here, we'll append to 0. Your income to be taxed still is at 500,000. Then we get to here. Hey, is it greater than this number? Yes. Well, what do you owe? 500,000 minus this times 35%, right? And then we reset your income to be taxed down to the start of the bracket. You've paid everything above that amount. Now you have to pay that amount and down. So then we'll get to, okay, is it more than 191? Sure. Well, what do you owe? 32% of 243 minus 191, which a lot of you had hard coded in, which is okay. There's nothing wrong with that, right? I'm just trying to offer something that might look a little cleaner here, right? We just keep on going all the way down. So eventually we're done here, right? For every bracket start, in the bracket starts, we go and get the rate, charge them that amount, and we're done. Now, the last bit here, right, to make the output look a little prettier is I want to reverse my taxes owed here, because right now we're at the high amount, lower, 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 lower as we go. And if your income to be taxed was negative, right, if your adjusted gross income was negative, you were never greater than your bracket start. Here, we never charged you anything. We just put in 7 zeros, right? So that's how this one just handles the negative case without any extra handling here. If it's negative, you're never more than a start. You never pay any taxes here. So I'll take my taxes owed and I'll reverse it here. So I'm in the opposite order, right? Then I need to go through and say, hey, here's what you owe, right? So then for, now this will be the values associated are the percentages here, right? So I need to get the keys out and I get the value associated with the keys. Again, it feels like a little bit of extra work here, but it makes this the exact same process is happening no matter what's in here. Because I don't know if you noticed, but tax laws can change here. Like, we weren't fixed with these numbers here. If anyone was bored, which you probably weren't here, and played around on the MoneyChimp site, we used to have different numbers in here. Like, hey, there were different ranges. There was no 37% here at one point, if you go far enough back, right? That sort of thing. So, like, these can change. All we have to do is have someone bribe the Congress to pass a law. I mean, have Congress pass a law, and it'll change. Yeah.
I never got why there was like a big jump in the middle, like go from 10 and 12 all the way to 22.
Go ask someone who teaches political science. But they're probably more equipped to answer that question, why we have such a large gap there. That's all. I have opinions, but they're just opinions. That's not anything I've ever looked at. All right, so we've reversed that. Now, again, we need to go through all of the keys sorted here. We don't need to do it in reverse now, though, which is nice. And we just want the sorted order. So this is, I don't know, bracket in the list of brackets sort here. Shoot, is it sorted? So, okay. That one here. So sorted returns a list. Sort does not. That's why this is cranky here. So sorted is going to give me back this list. This little notation here, I don't know if you notice, is this little arrow notation. It's saying it's returning a value here. So sort doesn't return the list is why it doesn't work here. So it should work if I do sorted then, right? Sorted. I thought I tried this and it was still yellow here. Oh, okay, we fixed it. Before it even crashed on me. So we could have done sort on one line and then reverse on the next line, and that should have been fine. Yeah?
Says you can also, like, when you did sort, you can pass a input reverse equals true.
Okay, yeah, so sort takes an argument to reverse. Yep. Yeah, there's lots of good overloads. That's a great idea. I forgot you could do that, so I did it the hard way, apparently. Yeah?
How is sorted different than sort?
So sorted returns a list because it doesn't mutate the list you give it. Sort will mutate the list you call it on, and it doesn't return anything because it's affecting the list you created. So like there's no return on sort here. So if I go back and put a sort in here, and you look over sort, shoot, why is it sort here? So the documentation for sort here, it returns none because it's just modifying the list that you're calling sort on, the sort function on. It's just a slight difference here.
What is this one work?
One more time?
How does this one work? Sorted.
So sorted does return a list. So you give it a list and it gives you a new list back in sorted order.
That's why you can reverse it?
Yeah, because it's, so in the chain of it being called here, this gives you a list back. And when you get the list back, then you can call reverse on it. If I called sort first and then tried to reverse that, sort was returning none. So with the order of operations, it gave me a none. That's why I was telling you can't call reverse on a none. So I avoided it crashing. Thank you. I'm just a little slow this morning. I need some more coffee. I did get a full 4.5 hours of sleep, so that was good. It's better than average.
What's that?
All right. What one?
What's that? Now go back up.
This red line here?
No, the yellow line under bracket.
Oh, bracket starts. Expected type. Got none. Oh my goodness. Okay, so reverse doesn't return anything either. All right, one line, bracket starts, dot reverse. If I assign the thing that comes back from that function call, I was going to assign a none. Sometimes Python's obnoxious.
And
So
sorted,
the yellow lines were nice.
sorted will sort it first, then return it.
Yeah, sorted returns a sorted list here. There we go. So then I can reverse that without assigning, because now it's reversed. Should we do it the other way? We could have saved one line of code. Let's go back and do it that way. We'll say dot sort reverse equals true. Can we do that? There we go. Someone else Googled better than I did. That's what I get for trying to do it off the top of my memory. So now this one still doesn't, it's not going to do it though because it's still a none, right? Because sort is the none. So we still have to do it in 2 steps. Dot sort reverse. All of this to avoid none. Nones are awful here. Null pointer exceptions are just, they will plague you the rest of your life here. It's just a fact of life. It's okay. Okay. I don't think we saved any extra code here. That's okay. We're doing it both ways, which is fun. Lots of options here. All right. Now, getting back to the brackets, right? I don't actually care what the brackets are, but what I really wanted is the associated values in order, because I need these percentages to make my output look pretty, right? Now, again, I feel a little bad here because we have now those parallel lists that I was complaining about, right? The first thing in this list will match the first thing in this dictionary. I don't have a great way of going about that. We could have added something to this dictionary, but then we would have had associated value of another, it gets messy almost any way we want to handle it here. I don't know. Or, what if we take your taxes owed and we append the bracket? We could do that to avoid having to do this, right? we could do that. That sounds like a lot of fun here. So we'll go, but then I can't reverse it. That's okay. So we'll do taxes owed. So we'll have key and associated value. We'll make this a dictionary because we learned about dictionaries. We might as well use our dictionaries, right? So we'll take our taxes owed, and then we'll say, hey, at the bracket start, the value associated with the bracket start. So now the key will be the rate, tax rate here, and we'll assign that the value of this thing here. So taxes owed, adding a key of the tax bracket. This is overly complex now, I'm sorry, but we're just having fun, right? This is fun, isn't it? Yeah, it's fun. Okay, I'm glad you're having fun. So your income to be owed times that amount here. Why does it not like us here? Am I missing something? What am I missing here? Oh, I went down too many lines here and Python got confused. So income to be taxed. Am I missing a thing? Assign it. Unresolved reference here. I really confused it now, changing that, didn't I? So we don't append, we say, hey, key of this thing here equals 0. I have a bracket start equals that value. Why? I have like too many. Oh, I have too many parentheses here. This whole thing is because of this parenthesis. That's lovely. Okay, we found the red line error. That was not a helpful hint here. So here's the key. Will be my percentage bracket. The value associated with how much taxes you paid at that rate. Now, this feels a little ugly here, right? Because I have the same thing in here twice. There's not really a great way to go about avoiding that here, so that's probably fine here. We could, if we wanted, reduce this by one line, and why not? Isn't that fun to make your code more confusing? It's not really more confusing. We'll just say, hey, you start at 0. If you owe money, change it from 0 to something. That way we don't need an else, right? So, and that should be, yeah, that's part of the if here. So we're assuming you owe 0. If you owe money, then go change that value that's associated from a 0 to something here. That just avoids my else there. Is that okay? Right? Then I'll go through now and go and print it all out. Right? Yeah.
What's that backslash?
So this tells Python I went down a line. So occasionally it gets confused because it uses white space to know if things are attached. So that backslash says, hey, Python, I wanted to go down a line. Every so often you don't need it, and I don't understand why. And I've not taken the time to Google it and remember why it's smart about it sometimes.
I think that was because you were setting it about and like above you were doing like multiplication numbers that I don't know mind.
You know, like at some point in here you can like throw it down one and it doesn't need a backslash. Is it like the middle of an expression? I don't actually know why here. I was just trying to make it fit on the screen here because having to scroll left and right is embarrassing, but I'm zoomed in kind of far, so you know, it's not the end of the world. All right. Okay. So we've gone and assigned all the taxes. Now we need to go out and get all those values back out. So one more time we have to go get our tax rates now. So this is the tax rates. Then will be my taxes owed. Really, we should probably change that. Now, you can change it here and go copy paste and copy paste and copy paste. That's a lot of work here, right? So I don't want to have to do that. So I'm going to right click, go to refactor rename. If I use my rename tool here, notice it highlights all of them for me. And as I type now, this is the taxes owed. And this is really like tax rates and taxes owed. Right? Notice it changes all of them for me at the same time. So use your tool. Right? That's a super handy one. Now I don't have to do them again. So for the tax rates and taxes owed, I want the keys here. And we want that as a list here. Right? And then we can go and sort it. Sort versus true. Capital T true, thanks. Yep. You'll sort it. Oh no, actually we don't want this one reversed, right? We want this one to be ascending order. We're going to start with the low one here. It just looks a little pretty if you start at 10%, right? Going on up here. Okay. Now for tax rate in tax rates and taxes owed. Nope, that's tax rate in tax rates. There we go. This thing we just made, that's in sorted order, we can go through and print out. Right. Now we'll go through and print. Okay, so print, we're getting there. Taxes owed at, here's my tax rate, like what, times 100 with a percent sign here, right? 10%. Most people like looking at percent signs and not decimals. Sure, whatever here. Again, the output isn't super particular. Whatever you said, as long as we're doing it by bracket is fine. And then the value associated with that key here then is tax rates and taxes owed. Key of the tax rate here. What did you owe at that rate? And we do that for all of them here. Great. And then we have print a formatted string. Total taxes owed, right? Total taxes owed. Now this one is really nice because Python has that built-in sum. Well, I'm going to sum the values of this one here, right? So I can get my dictionary values out. Give me all the values associated with the keys here. Sum those up. Great. Now I'm going to use this more than once, so I probably want to keep that actually, right? So we'll have total taxes. Taxes is this value, right? And we could do it more than once, but I'm going to feel bad about having to do that more than once. So total taxes. And then we have print formatted string taxes as percentage of gross income is what, that divided by gross income, and then times 100 and throw in a percent sign or something. If you wanted to do some formatting, we could do some cute, like, I don't know, 0.2, is it an F, I think, right? Because it's a floating point number, right? Do that one. And then adjusted gross income for, now this is why I needed to leave this one alone here and have a separate income to be taxed, because if I was changing your adjusted gross income, I would have to go calculate it again, or, you know, we've got options here. But changing this one would have messed up my formula. Yeah.
Shouldn't the print the taxes owed it, shouldn't the tax rates and taxes owed, the tax rate, that should be a :.2 left because money.
So I think this will just multiply nicely because they're all just two-digit decimals. I don't actually know what it'll look like. We'll see. So if it looks ugly, then sure, we'll fix it.
I saw people having like 20, having like 10 decimal places.
Yeah. If it looks bad, we'll go fix it. Right? Should we try it? Do you think it's going to run on the first try? I haven't actually ran it yet. Are you a betting kind of people? Yeah. All right, you're betting against me. You're a smart man. You think it might work? For your grade? You know, I'll give you tons of points, but they don't actually matter because they're just all made up.
Are you just betting on whether it runs or not?
Yeah, do you think it's going to work?
Oh, yeah, I think
Okay. I mean, you all checked me as I went, right? Let's try it. Let's try it and see. Oh. Audio oop is deprecated and slated for removal.
What's on
I got some sort of weird import line here at some point. I don't know what happened. So you win. You were the only one who doubted me. Good for you. Here, everyone else, you know, sorry I let you down. Let's try it again. All right, income. How much money did you make? And you can make it up. We can pretend.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
100 grand?
9.
And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 123 million? Sure. 0 to stop. Now, if we made a $123 million, I'm sure we can write off most of that, right? Because clearly we had legitimate deductions.
Yeah, and our house is huge.
And yeah, we have a huge mortgage, right? It's most ridiculous. Like, the feds want to incentivize home ownership because that's one of the key ways to build wealth for the middle class is home ownership. But the system is bad because it just gives rich people more of a break. Like, okay, sure. And then if you rent, of course, you're just screwed. You know, stupid you for renting, right? That's, you know, you just have to pay taxes anyway. Anyway, sorry, I got off track again. So what are we deducting? 123 million, right? I'm sure we gave most of that away here, right? And then 0 to stop. All right, cool. So yeah, we weren't over, right? If we take away 123 million.
Except now there's only one decimal place.
That's okay, yeah. That's probably correct, right? Because we never had any pennies added up, so at most, you know, a fraction of it should be fine here. So 456,000 plus 100,000, right, should be our total. So we should have not hit that 37% bracket. I think we're good. We weren't over 600 whatever. Taxes owed, taxes owed, taxes owed. Here, oh, we didn't add a dollar sign. Oh, and our printing is not the prettiest here. So taxes owed, total taxes owed. What do we want to do here? We can add the digit separator, right? How do you add the digit separator? There's another way to do that. Python, formatted string, integer, I don't know, or number with digit separator. Did I already Google this and fail? I think in CIS 200 I couldn't get a good answer here. Let's see. With a comma in our formatter. There we go. That's easy. So colon, comma. Is that it? Here, total taxes. That should be fine. Right, put a little dollar sign in here. These other ones then should also get that comma as well then, right? So colon, comma. Give us a nice little comma in here. Add some dollar signs. Try one more time. So 100,000. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 0 to stop. We deduct a ton of it here because nobody's going to audit our taxes anyway, right? The IRS doesn't have enough agents for that. I didn't say that out loud. I'm sorry. All right. So 165,000 in taxes, percentage of gross income, right? We get our digit separated. It's looking pretty good. So we can check on the MoneyChimp site if that's correct, right? At least on the total here, right? If the total matches, the rest probably does, I think is a fair assumption, right? So let's go look. So let's plug in then. What do we say? It was 430, so 536, or no, it was going to be 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then we just add 1 to this here, so 5, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Calculate 165, 251, 165, 250.9. I think that's close, right? Within rounding here?
Yeah, the
IRS would be happy about that
the
one.
money Tim's probably rounded it as an in here.
Yeah, I don't actually know what their site did, so we'll call that good enough here. Yeah, they'll come after you for their extra 10 cents. Interestingly, too, just another fun story, because why not here, right? You guys are stuck here while I talk. Stealing money from your employer is quickly a felony, but your employer not paying you what they owe you in your paycheck, not a felony. That's your fun fact for the day. All right. There's a really good video from Brennan Lee Mulligan going off on a rant about things here. I'll show it to you sometime. Or maybe I'll post it in the Discord here for anyone who's curious. Got some opinions about laws. He's a fun guy. All right, so I think we accomplished the task here, right? Again, maybe clean this up a little bit more here. The output's not all that super important, whether or not it's clean or not here. So, but, oh no, this one seems off here. Oh no, this one is correct because we deducted a bazillion, $123 million. So I think that's probably is correct, right? If we claim that many deductions here.
You can look at the site again and see.
What?
You can look at the site again and see if it's right.
I was just looking at, does it give us percentages? So this one only gives us, this would be off of the AGI, 29.68, 29.68.
So the 0.13 is probably right.
I think so. We could go check the math here, but I feel like it's probably pretty, okay, now you're making me, I want to check the math now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, plus 100,000. Right, all of that then, so take that number, and we want 165,000 divided by that. Goodness, let me open up another calculator. This one divided by, really? My paste doesn't work? Okay, whatever. 1, 2, 3, 5, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. What did I do? I did it again. Okay, shoot. That number divided by 1, 2, 3, 5, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Hey, 0.13%. I think it checks out. We rounded. Was that fun? And again, maybe not the prettiest. That's okay. I'm not going to claim my code's the prettiest, but I think not having magic numbers, super important, right? Just a really good habit to get into. You never want a number just hard-coded into your program. Right? If you can avoid literals, please do it, right? It'll save you lots of time, headache, and energy. You know, if you only have it one time, probably not the end of the world, but if you have it more than once, you should feel bad about yourself, right? Use a literal or use some sort of static value, this thing like that, right? We'll just save you some headache later. If you didn't do any of this nonsense, that's totally okay, right? You know,
I just did a bunch of constants and if
Yeah.
statements.
you could have a bunch of ifs. You could have 7 if blocks. Totally okay. I think this is cute, and I like the idea of it using our dictionaries, which was fun. Right? We could have done it with lists too. That could have been fun as well. You don't have to go and look all these things up, but you know we learned dictionaries, so why don't go practice them? Here, have a little bit of fun with it. You can see how it's nice to have a key with an associated value. Right? It pairs these things together for us. So I don't need to say, oh, get the first value out of the first list, get the first value out of the second list. Just an option here. Whether or not you think it's readable, totally debatable, that's fine. I didn't add any comments. Ideally, the things are named nicely so you don't need comments. Right? That's the rainbows and unicorns, pie in the sky goal, is that you can just look at the code and know what it's doing without comments. Right? Sure. Right? Why did I have to sort this and reverse it? You know, because I'm doing it this particular way. So like adding something about why I'm doing it in reverse order might be useful, but adding comments like this sorts it in reverse order. Please don't do that. Right? That's just a waste of time. Right? You can see it sorting in reverse order. Right? Even if you had never done it before, you didn't know this existed, you couldn't remember that it existed here. Now we have it in sorted order. Okay? We all right so far? Cool. All right, last little bit then. Let me flip back over to our tuples initial. Oh, I moved it. Shoot. Okay, I got to go open it. I named it wrong last time I did it here, so that's fine. My only complaint with PyCharm here is their browser is obnoxious to have to go through this way here. I wish they did better. 298, like the built-in Windows one is just so much easier to use than this one. Where's 298? Because it's 3 digits instead of 4 digits? Okay, I guess that makes sense here, supposedly. Lists and dictionaries. Trust the project. This window. Yay. All right, I go commit that to GitHub here. Come on. 298. I got too many repositories, sorry. So here's project 1. Commit and push. Why? Does it not have an interpreter? Sure. I don't think it matters which one I use. That's fine. All right. So here's our list of dictionaries. The last one we wanted to look at was tuples. Right? I think we got through all the other dictionary stuff. I think.
I mean, you didn't talk about nested dictionaries, did you?
Probably not, but it's just a dictionary inside of a dictionary. Right? If you can do nested lists or nested arrays, you can do nested dictionaries. You just key of. Is that okay? We could do it if we want, but we're running a little short on time. We still got to talk about the next project. So I want to show you a tuple here. So here's a well, I can't even spell immutable. Unchangeable, changeable list is a tuple. We use parentheses here. So now we can say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever we want here, right? Did I spell it wrong? What is it not like here? Unchangeable. Rename to, I love it. It spell checks me here. That's fantastic. All right, so I don't know, for value in unchangeable list, print the value. Sure, works out just fine. You can loop through it. For index in range, the length of my unchangeable list here, we can print my unchangeable list at the index. Works perfectly fine here. What you can't do now is say, hey, unchangeable list.append. There's no append function. You can't add to it. Once you make your tuple, it's stuck. Unchangeable. It's immutable is our proper technical term for it, but that one's harder to spell, I feel like. You can't append, right? No append option, there's no remove option, there's none of that here. But even though you can use this index notation here, you can't actually go change something there, right? Say, hey, I want to change the value to 10 here. We get a little warning, tuples don't support item assignment. It doesn't work. Right? You can get them out so you can get items, but you can't set items with this notation here. So no setting items by index. So really, you want these if you don't want values to change. It's just a little bit safer here. If you have a list of values that should not change, it's safer because you can't change it, right? So if you don't want to be able to change it, make a tuple. Yeah, the parentheses. Yep. If it's square braces, it's a list. Parentheses is a tuple. Curly braces for dictionaries. Yeah.
So it's basically just a list that can't be modified and it uses the parentheses.
Yep. Yeah, it's an immutable list. Yep. So probably more like your arrays, but even then you can't assign to it. You can't change what's stored there. So it gets to be a little bit of fun. Yeah.
When to use them?
If you don't want your values to change. Yeah. So if you want something to stay fixed. And it's more useful if you're giving these things to other code, right? If you're returning a list of values or doing something that you don't want someone else to change, you will give them a tuple, right? Those sorts of things. We looked at with list, you could return a slice to make a copy here. That's an option. We haven't got to classes yet, so it's not going to be super useful at this point, but like if your class has some sort of list of values and you're going to return that as a, get my list of values here, then maybe you would want to give them back a tuple or give them a list or something that's not mutable here, just so they don't go change it, okay? All right, let's talk about the next project. That was it for tuples, sorry. There was not a whole lot there, sorry. It took a little longer than I thought for the income tax. It didn't have to take that long, right? I think going the copy paste route or if bunch of if would have been a lot faster. I think this was more fun to puzzle through and see if we can get it, I don't know, with loops. That seemed more fun, so. All right, let's talk about project 2. Project 2, now we've done dictionaries, right? We've not gotten to, how far did we get here? So this is P-4E. Yeah, we got tuples. We've done strings, we've done files. That's right, we're gonna do some with files here. So we're gonna do with files and lists here in dictionaries and tuples. Until we get to object, oh man, it's gonna be a little while until we get to classes. Okay, so we're gonna do this with our files. Where did I go here? This page here. This will be files. So in 2 weeks is the 13th, right? At 9:30, class starts. This one probably gonna be like 12 points or so, because the last one was 10, right? I think I put it at 10. All right, so please submit the URL of your project in your repository. Okay. Keeping on the theme of money, because that's entertaining here, right? We're going to, let me go get, I have to go get some files real quick. I'll get the files for you in a second here. So we're going to use a file with, hang on. So we're going to read in 2 files, one with historic bond rates, another with historic stock market return rates. So we're going to create a retirement planning calculator. So we're going to go look at what rates used to be. So if you talk to financial planners and things, the stock market tends to be a riskier investment with more potential for gain, but it does go up and down. Right? Generally, it trends up. Right? The historic rate's about 10.5% on average in the last 30 some odd years or whatever here, but it does go up and down. So bonds tend to almost never go down here. They have it very rarely here, but generally they're stable, but you get a lower return. So what most financial planners advise is as you get closer to retirement, where you don't want the market to go down 30% just as you're about to take some money out, you start investing more into bonds and less into stocks here, because it's a, quote, safer thing here, less volatile. It's probably a better term for that here. So you can adjust what you're investing in, right? So that'll be fine. So we'll make this planning calculator. So we're going to ask the user how old they are and how old they want to be when they retire. And then we're going to ask the user for 4 starting balances. Okay, so we're going to have 4 different accounts essentially that you can put your money into here. So we're going to have money stored under their mattress. Okay, not actually, like in cash on hand here. Money that's in cash on hand earns no interest. There's no growth, right? No return on investment here. We'll have money in the bank, or bank savings, in bank savings. So money in bank savings, we'll say, oh my goodness, where'd my mouse go? I lost my cursor when it's in the box here. That's really weird. This earns a fixed 2%. Now this is not exactly a fixed rate here, and 2% is very generous compared to most bank savings that you find, but that's okay. We'll just say if you put the money in your bank savings, it'll get a 2% rate of return here. So every year they'll give you 2 cents on the dollar for every dollar you have in there, because they make 7 cents on the dollar loaning it out here. Right? That's how banks are supposed to make their money, and not off of garbage junk fees and overdraft fees and all that nonsense that Chase makes lots of money off of because they suck. But again, that's okay. So we got that. Then we'll have money in bonds here. So we're going to read from the bond rate file. And then we'll have money in stocks. And again, the market in general, whatever you want to call it here. So we're going to read from the stock file here. So how old are you? What do you have in those 4 different accounts? Like, what's your picture now? What's your current state? Okay? And then for every year until they retire, ask if they want to save more money, or put money into any of the 4 accounts. Allow them to keep adding money until they are done. So, hey, do you want to put any money in this year? Sure. Okay, which one of these accounts do you want to put it in? Oh, this one, and this one, and this one, and this one? Sure. Right, whatever they want to do, great. We'll let them add money to those accounts here. Right? Then we'll add and apply yearly rate of return to the accounts. So money in the mattress does nothing. Money in bank savings goes up by 2%, right? Times 1.02, right? Money invested in bonds goes up by whatever we just read out of the bonds file here. Right? Here's a historic rate. We'll just assume history repeats itself, which scarily is happening. Don't understand that. You all took history classes, right? You're here in college. Figure that happens. I don't know what happened to the rest of America, why we didn't take history classes. But someone just told me like only 60% of adults are literate in the U.S. Only like 60% of adults in the U.S. are literate. It blows my mind. I don't know where they find these numbers, but that's like very depressing. What?
I think they need something like you can read big, like you can use like long text and stuff.
Still very depressing. Right, like
60% of Americans can only read up to a 6th grade literature.
the 6th grade. I mean, it's still super depressing. Right, like the 6th grade level is like not hard at all. Like, okay, it just makes me sad. I'm so glad you guys are here, and some people are getting smart at least. Because anyway, so that all goes up, right? We apply that yearly investment, and then we're going to print current balances of each account and total balance here. Right. So every year, do you want to put more money in? Sure. Here's your investments. Here's your current totals. It doesn't work exactly like that, but it's close enough, right? You don't get 2% immediately on whatever you put in. Sure, it's okay. This is just an estimator here. And then after they reach retirement age, print totals for each account, total retirement savings here, and then an adjusted balance for inflation. Now, this used to make more sense when inflation was relatively stable here, and it's just wild now, and I don't have anything to do for that. So we're just going to assume a 2% inflation because that's the Fed Reserve goal, is a 2% inflation rate. Again, go take an economics class. Sure, there's reasons here. So what that means then is essentially your purchasing power goes down by 2% every year. Close enough, not exactly that. So if you're going to retire in 40 years, right? 2% less, 2% less, 2% less, 2% less, 2% less, 2% less. So 1.02 to the, where's my, really? I need the scientific calculator for that. 1.02 to the power of 40. If you're going to retire in 40 years, your money gets you 2.2, like every $2.2 is worth essentially $1 today. So if milk costs $3 a gallon in 40 years, if it follows this exact rate here, milk will cost 3 times 2.2, like $6.6 per gallon, or no, 3, yeah, whatever that happens to be, right? So your purchasing power goes down. So we want to adjust for inflation to say, hey, you might have saved $1 million, but what that really gets you here is less than $500,000 worth of purchasing power, that sort of thing. So yeah, and it varies wildly here. The Fed rate goal is 2% here. And then we're also going to print total balance, and then also print the account balances and total to a CSV file. So the goal of this is, as we do it, we're going to write to this CSV file here. Now, writing to a file like in the middle of every loop is a little bit ugly, so waiting to the end is probably best for this here. Is most efficient. Yeah, so every year we're going to write it so that way once you dump it to Excel, you can open it up and make a pretty graph. Or once we've looked at some of these Python libraries, we can make a pretty graph with it. We just haven't got there yet, so I'll show you how to make a pretty graph in Excel. You're like, hey, if you save $100 a month, you'll have this much money estimated by the time you retire. Okay, so we're reading files, we're writing files, we're doing some loops here. We're going to have a little bit of fun. I'll post those files in a little bit. I got to go re-download the latest versions. It's been a little while since I've had them. So I'll get you those files in a little bit. But that way we're going to read out the historical values here. We should be able to be good from there, okay? All right, sorry to run over.
We're going to go further in depth on Tuesday?
On
the files or whatever?
No, we already did files. We did that last week, right?
Yeah, we did. I'm just saying the files of the numbers and stuff.
I can show them. It's just going to be like 50 numbers.
Oh.
That's it. Just one line per number. It'll be pretty easy. Yep. All right, thanks all.